What is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here, Dean78904. If you want to get all technical, I am not Blender. This is normally Blender's show, but that is Blender. Blender right now is normally screaming at you. He's screaming good morning at you, 11 o'clock on the East Coast. Which, by the way, incidentally, Blender, most people are up for like an hour or two, and you're still yelling good morning at them, and then your microphone's popping on them. But yeah, you're not getting, I guess typically you will be talking props right now, some NFL props, but you know what the people really want? They really want to talk this 6-game MLB DFS slate. Good luck finding a pitcher you like. I stared at this thing. I did content for it this morning in the middle of the night. Still can't find a pitcher I like, but we're all dealing with the same nonsense as far as this pitching pool. It's complete, utter disaster. There are some teams that are playing for something. Stakes are at hand. Kansas City still trying their best to lock in a playoff spot. Believe I had the odds. They're like 80-90% or so to make the playoffs. It's almost definitely going to happen. Detroit, the Tigers have been the story of the second half. They've been spectacular. They went from like 5%, 10%, 20%, worked their way all the way up the ladder, and it looks like they are well positioned to get themselves a playoff spot. Good for them. Good story. Thanks in part to Minnesota falling back. Today is the last day ever to be baseball to be played in the Oakland. No, not ever. I saw your eyes pop, Blender. I can't foresee that happening.
They're never going to play baseball in Oakland ever again anywhere?
In the Coliseum. This is it. Yeah. I don't know if you've been watching or you've been paying attention.
You mean a professional game? I mean, like the stadium will still be there for a while.
Well, I don't know if they've been playing professional baseball there, to be fair, in a while. If we're really going to get technical. Baseball has been played. Professional, maybe if you're rounding up, I suppose.
You don't think the staff is going to have some type of pickup game, like before they leave or something? I mean, there could be some type of stickball game. There could be some type of game, maybe nothing DFS worthy, but there'll probably be some form of baseball played there before it gets knocked down.
The Brooklyn is coming out, and you mentioning stickball. I feel like stickball is like only a Brooklyn thing. My dad was from Brooklyn, so he mentioned stickball, and I'm like, that's stickball. Who plays? What is stickball? But I know you're a Brooklyn guy, so yeah. The owner for Oakland is such a stickler. He might just lock the doors and not even allow anybody in there. And I don't know if you've been seeing, but the fans have been taking home seats. Have you seen this? Like people are showing up today. They sold out. Oakland sold out. People are going to be showing up looking for their seats, and they're just going to be gone. It's just going to be how are you going to stop them?
How are you going to stop that many people from taking crap?
I don't know. I think it's a fun, if you walk in somebody's house or whatever, they have the Oakland Athletics, seats, and I don't know if they have in the living room. They have like in the man cave. I don't know if everybody want to sit in them because they're probably not comfortable. I'd rather give me the couch, right? Give me the love seat or something like that. But it'd be cool to have. I think it's a cool souvenir.
I've gone to a wrestling show. You've been allowed to keep your seats.
Yeah, doesn't WrestleMania do that? I feel like here it is. Look at it. Look at this. This is amazing.
Are they coming with tools? I mean,
I don't know. The jaws of life.
Do that?
I don't know how you. I don't know. I don't.
Is the stadium in that bad shape that you could just literally just pull up your seats?
I've never been to the Coliseum. It's known to be famously just an absolute dump. I mean, obviously great history there, but just a dump at this point. They had plumbing issues for years. I don't know if you've heard the stories of the plumbing issues in Oakland. Like a Shawshank situation. It's and again, very, very cheap owner. I liken it to like the Cleveland and Major League. The owner just, did the best they could as far as pinching pennies. But yeah, shout out to the A's. 6-gamer today. We're here for the next hour, and we turn it over around 12 o'clock. 55 minutes until Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth comes in, Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, as well as Stevietpfl. You know him from the Morning Grind. You know him from NASCAR, things of that sort. It is also the Raiders used to play there. Let's see. I'm looking at the chat. What's up, chat? Kindly hit that like button and subscribe and turn on those notifications. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Talk a little bit of baseball. A 6-gamer. FanDuel does have a 4-gamer out there. I was looking at the prize pools. You're probably not playing it. If you have a FanDuel specific question, by all means, mention that if you have any questions FanDuel specific. But we're going to be focusing on DraftKings. Metallica was playing in the parking lot during the Oakland. I know they're from San Francisco, right? Pretty sure that Metallica's from San Fran, not too far, obviously. But I don't know if you've seen Metallica. They every once in a while you catch them playing the national anthem with the guitar. Yeah, I don't know if you ever caught that. Yep. Any idea what I'm talking about, Blunder? No, nope. Probably not.
I'm trying to look up like favorite like Oakland A's Coliseum memories, and all I get are sites that have like 70 million pop-up ads.
Well, like famously the World Series when they went live, the San Fran Oakland, there was an earthquake during the '89 World Series.
Were they in Oakland? I thought they were playing in San Francisco when that happened.
I thought it was Oakland, but I could be wrong. And obviously not too far away. And they both probably felt. I don't know who felt the brunt of it more, but I thought it was an Oakland thing, but it could be San Fran. But like lots of storied history there in Oakland for sure. Like not much of late. Moneyball. Have you heard? They made a movie about. Have you heard of Moneyball? Do you know Brad Pitt?
They made a movie about the team. I mean, it has nothing to do with the stadium, though.
Oh, you're talking.
I'm trying to think of what other things happen in the stadium other than like the A's playing baseball.
I don't know. Probably Raiders stuff too. Maybe some Raiders stuff as well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else will be there. If you Google like Oakland Coliseum plumbing, you might find some interesting stories.
The Heidi game? Is the Heidi game from Oakland?
I think so. And like this is a really I didn't watch it, but famously the Heidi game was you know the Heidi story or no?
Oh, I do. It was a Jets Raiders game. That was the late game on a Sunday. For those that don't, I mean, this obviously happened before I was even born also.
Yeah.
And then the network, they had it scheduled till 7:00 Eastern. And it was like 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And at 7:00, the network just switched over to their programming, which on ABC or whatever, those nights, they always have like kids, kind of like a kids movie or something. And it was Heidi.
Whatever that is.
And everyone went nuts that were watching football. And that's the reason why all sports in the United States, the games go until they end. And they just preempt whatever programming is after it because there were riots over the game being turned off.
Now you got to wait to watch 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes always gets bumped. Or back in the day when
except on the West Coast, they always have to mention except on the West Coast.
Pat Summerall is always there to remind us, except on the West Coast. Or there's like the Sunday night movie or whatever. I always love the way Summerall would describe, the most random. But yeah, it was always funny to hear Summerall talk about The Simpsons. Because that's just didn't seem like something that would be in his world. Anyways, all right, we have a 6-gamer. Have you found any? Chat, let me know. I'm looking. Have you found any pictures you like? Let me know, chat. Blunder, have you found any pictures you like?
Are you not excited to play a high on Michael Wacha at 9K?
I am. What is the opposite of excited? Whatever that is, that's what I am. And
the opposite of excited. If you don't play Michael Wacha at 9K, I mean the picture. Do you want to pay $8,300 for a pitcher that may not go 5 innings in Kumar Rocker? I mean, he has strikeouts. I guess he's in Oakland. Maybe he'll strike out a bunch of the people trying to pull up their seats. But he's.
Do you know much about? I know you're not a big prospect guy. You know Rocker's like one of the biggest elite prospects in baseball, but like Texas is not going very far. This is obviously his last start of the season. They're not going to push him. The weird thing about him, and like he only went 3 innings last time, right? And he's got electric stuff, and it's small sample, really, really small sample stuff, like 35.3% as far as the Ks, 17.6% as far as walks. So the Ks are outrageous. The walks are terrible. But in the minors, the walks were in check for what it's worth. So this could just be a blip. He did throw like over 70, but he only went 3 innings, but he threw, it's just because he was super inefficient. He threw 71 pitches against Toronto and walked 4 guys. That'll just happen. You're not going to let him pile up a bunch of pitches in an inning in a game that doesn't matter. Doesn't make any sense. So I actually do think he's somewhat interesting.
He has the highest strikeout prop on the entire board, which is saying something about the rest of the pitching on this slate.
Is it 4.5 or 5.5?
No, it's 5.5. But you know who else also has a 5.5 prop, even though it's plus 120 on the over? You down for playing a 6K Chris Flexen?
Tyler Anderson
against the Angels?
Flexen?
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be Anderson. By the way,
Tyler
extremes as
Anderson's
far as
4.5.
umpires.
Yeah, but I'm not paying $8,500 for Tyler Anderson. I'll just pay $6K for Chris Flexen. He's. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm not sure if any pitcher on the slate gets 20 points.
That is a good number as far as the over/under. Certainly nobody's projected for 20 points. As far as pitchers on DK, what's the biggest projection?
I'm just talking about a ceiling. I'm not sure if anyone gets the 20 points at pitcher today.
No, yeah,
we have not going to be Patrick Corbin. I mean, like, it's definitely not going to be Kyle.
Well, I'll have you know, if you like yourself a narrative, a blender, here's one for you. A lot of narratives today. This is the very last game that Patrick Corbin almost definitely will be throwing for the Nationals in general. The last game of his 6-year, $140 million contract with Washington. This is it. He's 35 years old. And now, when you make yourself 140 mil, and you know, some would say he was overpaid, some would say he was a disaster contract. Is that it? Does he stick around and like now throw for the minimum? How much does he love baseball? How much does he love getting his face punched in? Is the question I'm asking. Like when you have 140 in the bank, I know obviously there's taxes and there's you have yourself an agent. Not literally 140, but he should be fine. I assume he's fine. I don't know his lifestyle, but I assume he's fine going forward. Does he stick around and sign for the minimum with like the Royals or something like that, or does he say, "All right, I'm good. Like what's the point? I'm set." What do you think he does? I haven't seen anything about. I was trying to Google if he's retiring or not. Is what I was asking.
No, I think he signs for the minimum somewhere that we don't realize, and by this time next year, he makes his first start or something like that, and we go, "Oh, Patrick Corbin's still alive, and he's playing for insert random team here." You know,
what's
kind
a Dallas
like what we've
Keuchel
done with like Dallas Keuchel?
Yeah,
he shows up every once in a while, and I go, "Okay, he's on this team now." Okay.
And Johnny Cueto, it's like, well, Johnny Cueto is still grinding away, and he's like on the buses and the minors. And this is a dude that has like he made a lot of money, and like he just loves it, and like good for him. I think that's great. But he certainly Corbin. I can't imagine he signs anywhere for much more.
Patrick Corbin, just to be clear, Patrick Corbin is not the answer to Fleet Thursday because the number one clue is All-Star.
You know what? I bet you Patrick Corbin was an All-Star. You're saying that sarcastically. He got 140 mil. That's because he was an All-Star, probably with Arizona. I bet you he was an All-Star. Yeah, let's go ahead and tell the people. Yeah, clue number one, Fleet Thursday is a Fleet Thursday. What is Fleet Thursday? If you don't know at this point, seriously, what are we doing? If you don't know, you tell me what athlete I'm talking about. I'll give you 5 individual clues. Each clue, you get one guess. Tell me in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord, live stream chat channel. And if you let me know, you tell me who it is, you're the first person, you get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. That's football, baseball, basketball, hockey right around the. I know you like yourself some hockey, Blender. I got my Dynasty draft this Sunday. I know you're excited about Dynasty hockey talk. You do like hockey. I don't think you care about actually watching the sport, but you do like your DFS hockey. But yeah, that's coming not too far away. NBA, of course, all that. You get yourself, of course, it's a week free, so probably not going to actually use it. But in theory, there you go.
The answer could be Patrick Corbin. He was an All-Star in 2013 and 2018.
Yeah, with 2018 too. That was his free agent year, maybe, right? When he was in Arizona.
No, he started for the Diamondbacks on opening day in 2018.
Mm-hmm. There you go. What are the odds? He has his best season ever right before he hits free agency. And then he's the one pitcher who never got hurt, by the way. He just always went out there and pitched terribly, like 188.
No, he got hurt early in his. He got
he signed a big contract.
2014, he had the UCL ligament injury or whatever.
I'm talking about when pitchers sign a big contract, they inevitably always get hurt. They always break down. He's the one guy who signed the monster contract and didn't get hurt. He just pitched terribly. Yeah, so he was healthy, but that's just not good. All right. So,
maybe he's going to retire. According on his Wikipedia page, former Diamondbacks teammate Paul Goldschmidt described Corbin as humble about his success. With his signing bonus, Corbin bought a used car instead of a new one. He lived in his parents' basement during the 2012-2013 winter and officiates youth basketball games during the offseason.
He officiates youth. That's a good random fun fact. That you used to officiate you were an umpire, right? I'm assuming you don't do that anymore. I don't know if you do. No. But you got into it with the parents too much, I'd imagine. That's what was happening. How many parents do you have to eject when you're an umpire?
All of them. All of them.
Eventually. Is there one story that sticks out? Do you have like one story that sticks out where like this is the one?
No, I mean sometimes the parents are the coaches, and I remember throwing out the coach's son, and I threw the coach out with him.
Said, combination platter.
I'm throwing your son out of the game, and you could join him. Get out of here.
Did you know? Was it known in the league that those guys?
No, I knew because the manager's name and the kid's name is the same name, and it was it was a local league that I knew the travel teams in that area. So when the kid threw it, because that league had a rule where you can't throw equipment. It's an ejection. And because it's 11, 12-year-old baseball. So the kid struck out and threw the bat and chucked it and cursed and chucked it against the fence. And I threw him out. And then, of course, his father, the manager of the team, argued with me. And I'm like, that's the rules. And he said, blah, 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 impersonal insults. And I said, well, you can join your son. Get out of here.
Yeah, the old 2-for-1 special. Do you
I want to throw out people for throwing equipment? I mean, not really. I don't really care, but I have to go by the league rules, so that's what it is.
Brent Rooker being guest here in the chat. Andre Dawson. It's just so random what people throw out there. It just says, it's an all-star. And why wouldn't it be Andre Dawson? It's not, but that's just a fun random guess. Casey Douglas saying Shohei Ohtani. Dunk is saying it's Tarek Skubal. It's none of those guys, but do appreciate the guesses. We should go ahead and drop the second clue just to spice it up a little bit. Second clue, Blender. And again, if you know the answer, as always, don't ruin the game.
I probably don't. With your clues, I never know the answer. All I do is complain that when we get to the end that the clues didn't make any sense.
Well, you're super sharp though. You're definitely you're on top of things.
The answer to this could be Smash Mouth at some point. It could be something in the lyrics of a Smash Mouth song or whatever. Who sings All Star? It's that the clues are more like a guideline to another clue that you have to then go, and then it's like, what the hell's the point of all of this?
Splendor, you got to go ahead and ruin the game because it's whose nickname is the Smasher. Is somebody nicknamed the Smasher? Somebody should be. I don't think anybody is, though. All right. Clue number 2 is Bay. So, again, let me know who we're talking about. Blender, I don't want to talk about these pictures, but we have to. We got to do it. What else are we here for? Do you have an overall screenshot of the slate? Obviously,
there's the overall. Pitching sucks and hitting sucks today. Everything sucks today. This is the last baseball slate that I'm playing because baseball is done for, and the contests are awful.
It's baseball tomorrow. I'll be playing some tomorrow.
I have NFL. I'm going away to St. Louis. I'm going to be gone, so I'm not going to be looking at it anyway.
Is there wrestling? What's going on in St. Louis or something else?
No, actually, it's music. It's a concert.
Smash Mouth? You're going to go see Smash Mouth?
No, we're not going to see Smash Mouth in St. Louis. I'm going to see Lorna Shore in St. Louis on Saturday.
Lorna Shore? That doesn't sound like a punk band.
It's not a punk band. It's a deathcore band.
Okay, that was my next guess, actually. Yeah,
Lorna Shore. You mean it sounds like some independent woman, singer songwriter? It's like no, that's no. Lorna Shore was I believe the character that was in the librarian or in a Batman graphic novel or something like that. You could probably Wikipedia that or something.
TJ would know that. That's a deep cut for me.
Some really obscure comic book character in Batman.
You mentioned Waka, 35% Waka. It's this sort of push-pull, and I know Dave's wrote about it in the article too, and we saw it yesterday with Woods Richardson for Minnesota. Minnesota desperate, they need wins. So if their pitcher is sputtering, they will give them the quick hook. Waka is a guy historically pretty good leash, somewhere in the 90s as far as pitches. But if things are getting out of hand, if he's somehow getting his face punched, then they might give him a quick hook because these games really, really matter. And if he just doesn't have it for whatever reason, they will take him out. But he is the most popular guy. They're all terrible, but you still DK is still forcing us to play two of these guys. 35% Waka. Next up, as far as ownership, this stuff will change a little bit, I think, but 30% for Tyler Anderson. I think the White Sox have now won 2 in a row. Is it 2 in a row or 3 in a row? As Squirrel put in his content, they are red hot. They are scorching. The White Sox. They're doing their absolute best to avoid being the worst baseball team of all time. Tyler Anderson's not great, but he's throwing baseballs against the White Sox, and anybody looks great against the White Sox most games. We mentioned Rocker, a lot of Ks. How long is he going to go? Maybe 4 innings. Depends how efficient he is. We're also not going to have some lineups. That's a later game. I'm guessing we won't have that at lock. 3 o'clock? As far as the all right. I just got some feedback in my ear. My apologies. I was thrown off there for a second. Kyle Gibson.
What did the feedback say, Dean? Was it constructive criticism?
It was me talking to myself because I had the RotoGrinders live show, on YouTube, because I wanted to pull out the chat, and I thought I had paused, but I guess I didn't, and for some reason just kicked in now. So I was just saying hello and welcome to the RotoGrinders show to myself in my ear 20 minutes later. It was really a weird experience. That's why I was thrown off. Mitch Keller. Stop me when you like it. I'm going to name the pitchers.
Dude, we'll be going forever if you want me to
stop me when you like somebody.
Tomorrow's
tell me when you
Slate.
like somebody. You're here, right? You're hearing all these names. I don't see any excitement.
To me, I mean, Waka is like a default top pitcher option on the slate.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a big fan about that. I mean, the thing that appeals to me, Chris flexing at 6K because of his if I'm gonna play bad pitchers today, I'm at least not gonna pay for him. So Chris flexing at 6K. He's the top point per dollar pitcher in the bat projections. And I guess I don't mind Tyler Anderson. I mean, I said I'm not a big, but do I want to pay $8,500 for Tyler Anderson? No. But do I want to pay $9K for Michael Waka? No, either.
No.
So I don't mind that. If you find 2 pitchers that don't kill you today, I think you're fine, right? If you find 2 pitchers and they get 12 to 14 points, I think
kind of okay. Yeah.
Mitch Keller. I guess I want to play the Brewers more than Keller on this slate, but I mean he's fine. He at least has strikeout upside, but of course he could give you negative points. It's gonna be one or the other.
All these guys can.
To a certain extent, yeah.
It's just pretty gross out there. As far as the Waka thing, 21.6% as far as the Ks, that's fine. He's facing a Washington team that's actually pretty contact heavy as far as today's lineup. Joey Gallo is in there, which you like seeing. Wood also. Those are the 2 big K guys, but otherwise they're pretty contact heavy. 21.8% collectively. But again, it's just kind of survival, right? You're just looking to survive pitchers, and if you can get 14 or 15 points, and typically we're looking for ceiling, but like you said, pretty good chance that nobody gets 20 points on DraftKings as far as
that's why like even at 8,300, if you tell me that Kumar Rocker pitches 4 innings,
yeah,
he could still. I mean, typically I
don't
want
7
pitchers that only pitch 4 innings, but if he gets 5 strikeouts and gives up 2 runs, like he still kind of gets there, because I'm not even sure if any pitcher on the slate even strikes out more than 5 people anyway.
I'm not certain of that either. We have the projected lineup for the White Sox. The projected lineup, 25.2% as far as Ks. We'll see if they roll out there. It is a day game after a night game for a lot of these teams. Again, we're very likely not going to have the Oakland or Texas lineup by the time we hit lock. Day game after night game there. I wonder if they're going to play Langoliers. We shall see what kind of lineup we get. Day didn't start yesterday. I assume he starts today versus the righty. Coors, I'm on the Twitter right now. I don't see. Let's see. We got the Angels. We did get the White Sox, actually. White Sox did come in. Vargas, Robert, Vaughn, Sosa, Ramos, DeRoche, Robinson, Fletcher, and Amaya. So let's see. Rojas is not in there. No, wait. Who am I looking for? No, that's not who I was looking for. That's a different team, the Dodgers. Vargas, was he in there? Did I say Vargas? I jumped away.
Vargas.
Yeah, he's leading off again. Yeah, okay. He's cheap, and he's supposed to be good, but I keep talking about how terrible he's been. He was one of the bigger prospects to come over in that deal with the Dodgers, but it hasn't quite happened just yet. Let's go ahead and give the third clue. By the way, some guesses coming in. Oh, good guess. Remember Jason Bay? I forgot about Jason Bay. That was guessed there in the chat. I wouldn't just give that as the second clue, probably, to say the guy's last name, but I see what you're doing there. Barry Bonds, Jeff Kent, Stephon Marbury. There you go. Mark McGwire and Buster Posey coming in from DJ Esquire. All those are no sheets and no Benintendi. Thank you, Steve. I'm staring at it. I knew I couldn't quite figure out who
the number 3 clue is just not Bonds.
Yes, not Bonds. So like all the athletes you can think of all time, you can eliminate at least a couple. Okay. Barry Bonds. There's probably some others named Bonds, I'm guessing, outside of the Bondses. But we're getting there. We're getting there. All-Star, Bay, and not Bonds.
I have a guess, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's been guessed already.
Well, if you go on the Discord channel, Blender, go on the Discord channel. There's
I have to go on the Discord channel to see what's been put in. No one's gotten it yet.
No, there's some game theory. Casey Douglas is guessing Ricky Henderson. I listened to him in the booth the other day. That was last night. That was pretty good. My favorite is when he said, "I am the great." I remember that was "I am the greatest" speech when he stole it and broke the stolen base record. He's a fun guy to listen to, Ricky. Feel free to type in the our little private chat here in the StreamYard and let me know if you think you know the answer.
Well, let me look and let me see what these guesses are.
Well, that's the game theory, but it's also a push pull because if somebody gets it before you, then you're in trouble.
People guessing stuff that so no one's gotten it yet.
Nobody has got it just yet, but there are guesses coming in. And people are at the right idea.
I was going to guess one of the things that people guessed.
Yeah,
okay, it's not.
People are, they're figuring it out. They're getting there. We'll slowly eke our way. All right. So pitching is for me. I think it's just like I'm going to make the lineups I want to make, and I think you can argue 7 of these pitchers are usable. Maybe 8 are usable. I'm not running 150. I assume you're not running 150. I assume you're just doing a couple lineups. I'm just
doing one lineup today. I'm done. Baseball.
Okay.
During September, baseball is totally off my radar.
Reese Olson just doesn't throw enough pitches, and he's a little bit too expensive, so he's not going to make it for me. Alexander, I just don't really like. He's not going to throw enough pitchers either. I like Detroit, so I will be playing Detroit. They're one of my favorite teams today. I think you could play Patrick Corbin, not comfortably, but none of these guys are played comfortably. Waka is probably the guy I kind of sort of want to get to, but then when I see the ownership, it's like I don't need 35% on Waka. Will I play him? Maybe. We'll see. Flexing at 14%, Keller at 21%. How did you figure out your pitchers? Did you make your stack first and okay?
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, I'm going to make my lineup during crunch time, and I'm going to play Flexin at 6K, build all my batters, and then whatever's left, that's who I play. If I have 9,200 left, then I'm playing Waka. If I have 8,600 left, I'm playing Tyler Anderson. If I just only have 7,600, then I'm playing Reese Olson or Tyler Alexander or whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But I think for 6K, there's no reason why Flexen isn't in the league of any of these other pitchers, and he's at least 1,000 too cheap. In comparison, these are all bad. Chris Flexen can go out and give you 6 fantasy points, and I'm not shocked or anything.
And that might be okay. I'm not saying that might be okay.
You're right,
but that might be okay.
That might still be okay.
It might be. It might be okay. Not ideal, obviously, but that's just kind of where we're at. That's the old nature of the slate. But the lineups that we have so far, we have the first 4 games, all the lineups, and the last 2 games, none of the lineups. That's St. Louis, Colorado, the Coors game, and Texas and Oakland. They're talking about playing a bullpen pitcher. That's, to me, it's too extreme. That doesn't.
What, for 4K? Just play Flexen.
Yeah. That doesn't maybe you can properly guess who's going to get an inning or two and somehow get an inning and 3 strikeouts, and okay, you get yourself 8 points. And it's hard to thread that needle. You could do that like on a 2-gamer when there's like 4 bad pitchers, sure. But this one, somebody's going to get there. Like somebody's going to put up like a 17 spot. that could be useful. All right. I don't know what else there is to say as far as pitchers. I was trying to find different ways to separate, and it's just there's not much there. I don't know what to. You could play Keller. Do I want to? No. I want to play him less than most of the other guys, I think. Same with Savali. Milwaukee's like, subduing the length as far as those pitchers are going for Milwaukee these days, and he's not very good. Stacy's asking about Freeland. I don't think it's completely absurd. I don't think it's completely bonkers, and it's a leverage play, right? I assume you're not playing, you're not stacking St. Louis. I don't think it's crazy to play Freeland. I'm not endorsing it, but I don't think it's crazy. You tell me.
I mean, it's close to crazy, but I mean, it's not. The disparity between pitchers on the slate is not large. So, but why play Freeland when you could just play Flexen, play JT Gidd, I mean, you don't have to play a pitcher against in cores for no reason. The opportunity cost of pitcher. The opportunity cost of pitcher it's not worth it. Why not play Patrick Corbin at 6,900 against Kansas City?
I think you can do that, but I like Kansas City.
Might as well play. I mean, we could then any slate is that way. Yeah, sure. You could play any pitcher, I guess.
Again, you want to build your narrative. It's his last start. I presume I haven't heard talk about it, but like it's got to be it for at least for him in Washington. I think that's got to be it. You want to give me a summary as far as pitchers? I know we just keep dancing around.
I did it before. Pitching sucks. Play any 2 you want. Don't pay up for no reason, and then let your stack dictate what pitchers you play. But I don't see this as the type of slate where you build a Michael Wacha, Tyler Anderson lineup and then play like a vomit stack. Like I'd much rather just pay down at pitching and just play cores, right? And
what about playing cores with those 2 guys? That seems like too chalky-ish, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, but cores is I mean, you can't do that.
There's going to be some cheap pieces. Walker, Ciani's probably going to be in the line. We'll see what we get. Actually, he might not be. Well, I guess we'll get it at some point. Just got to be on alert for it. Clue number four for Fleet Thursday. As we go ahead and talk about stacks in a second. All-Star number 1, Bay number 2, not Bonds. Clue number 4. This is where you might get it, Bunder. So pay attention and don't verbalize it. Soft tossing. Does that do something for you? Maybe.
It could.
Yeah. That is our 4th clue. And you know what? Maybe it didn't do it for you, Blunder, but it did it for the Discord channel. We do have a winner.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes. I wasn't thinking that era. I was thinking earlier. So I started earlier, and I'm like, Dave Stewart?
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny because I was thinking about that because, of course, I mean, I have to do the homage, right? I got to calculate.
I knew it was an A. I knew it was Oakland. It's that you can do an Oakland player. It's an obviously one. But I was thinking more Dave Stewart, Dennis Eckersley, that era, the Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire era A's.
Yeah, well, I couldn't do like somebody just might guess Canseco or McGuire or Henderson, and this one takes a little bit more deep, deep.
It could have been a Carney Lansford clue.
Carney Lansford, wow.
I think he actually was an All-Star once.
Probably, yeah. Don't ask me how I know this, but I'm pretty sure he was in a Little League World Series. Carney Lansford. I don't know why I know that, but that's just a stupid fun fact. I don't know if it's fun.
He was an All-Star in 1988. 1988, yeah.
You might have umpired his games. I'm pretty sure he was a Little Leaguer, in the Little League World Series. Now just old school Oakland Athletics being thrown. Terry Steinbach being thrown out in chat by Casey. Shout out to WMU Do 24, Western Michigan. WMU, Western Michigan. Might be something else. Not sure. But it looks like producer Steve has already contacted you. we'll go ahead and juice you up. We'll try to get you. Hopefully, Devin is lurking out there. We can get you a week free of RG Premium. That clue number 5, incidentally, was Southpaw. So just I didn't want to make this one too hard because I was thinking it's a Thursday morning. Not a lot of people are grinding baseball these days. I don't know how many people are going to be watching, and I want to make sure somebody gets it. Western Michigan is confirmed. There you go. So there you go. That was our 5th quote. Did we say who it was? It's Barry Zito. I was also going to play off as famously as a guitar player. I don't know if you know, speaking of music, he would play guitar. Did you know that was his thing?
Was he a solo artist? I mean, what do you mean he would play guitar?
I think he was like a coffee house. Kind of like,
right.
Yeah.
I know Bernie Williams on the Yankees. He played like
bass.
Yeah, bass. Whatever, in some jazz band or something.
Yeah. And I think Bernie's played the national anthem as well. I've seen him. I feel like that's happened probably in New York. Okay. We're done with pitchers. We're going to talk stacks. 20 minutes until crunch time comes in. You made our stacks board today. I actually hit you up last night because we haven't done a show in a while. I feel like it's been too long since we've done a show. But typically, I never want to be presumptuous, but typically you make the boards, which I always appreciate. And this is, you've probably been, itching to make one because it's been a while. I know you stole the whole premise and you run them out there with no actual tier names during your show here when we invade 11 o'clock. By the way, are you going to do that for NBA? I'm trying to figure out how to work that in NBA.
No, we're not doing NBA. We do NFL and NHL on Tuesdays.
But like, what happens when NFL is off? And I guess maybe it's a conversation we could have another time. But
I don't know.
I was trying to think about.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess how does it work in
game
NBA?
Stacks are kind of a thing. Teams as an overall. I don't know. I was talking.
I don't even know. Is there at 11 in the morning? There's even no point in even looking at NBA because there's 84 people on the injury list, and you don't know who's going to play.
Not at the start of the season. At least in the first couple weeks.
No, truthfully, it happens in the start of the season. I remember last season. I'm like, okay, I'll play NBA, and the third day it was nuts, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm done. I'm done. Third day in, I'm like
you're out. All right. I wonder if WNBA is the same thing with scratches. I feel like I haven't seen that, heard that, but maybe it's not as many people getting upset about it. I don't know. But in any event, let me know what today's category is. I'm going in cold. I don't know what it is.
Well, put it up on the board. I mean, you're going to have Steve put it up. Okay.
Oh, boy.
We got host names. We got people of RotoGrinders names. But what?
So we have the chat guess what the category is?
Yeah, but we have to know what the category is. See, it's. I'm not sure if this is more of a service to people at home that watch our shows at RotoGrinders often. You're not going to understand this list unless, like, you've seen these people in person.
Oh, let me ask you this: if did you know Stevie was going to be on the show after us?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, but I'm not sure if you're buttering him up or if you're trying to like.
No, I'm not buttering. This is not a good or bad list. Like, there's no chop is on the bottom, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that now whose bets I trust the most? No, it has not. This is
that Kyle Murray?
Yes, because it's Kyle Murray. I've been to obviously the Super Bowl parties, right? I come down from Louisville. We've like me and Dean, like me and you, we've met in person.
Yeah.
Twice in real life, right?
This is not a hologram.
Right. Remember last year's Super Bowl party? I tried to play pickleball and I fell and I got a black eye, right? Okay, so you
were a gamer though. You won that point.
Yeah, I did win the point. Yes, I did.
Scoreboard.
So to me, this list is deceptively from a height perspective.
Oh,
because most of the time we deal with each other in these little boxes, and people can't tell. Some people can't tell how old I am. People wouldn't know that I'm 5'10". But I could be 6'5". I could be 5'4". You don't know.
Cheese is 7 feet tall. I'm not sure if you heard the stories of Cheese being 7 feet tall.
Right.
The funny one I'm surprised who's not in this list is Cardi. Cardi is sneaky tall.
I don't think he's that sneaky. Okay, he's in. See, some people belong in the tiers. So the A tier is Stevie. If you don't know and you met Stevie in real life, he's gigantic.
But if you hear him and you look at him, he looks like he's a tall guy. You know?
No. I put Chris Prince in that category. Beer Makers fan.
Both
Beer Makers fan, I could tell is 6'6". Right, I could tell. So when I see him and he is that, it's not a big deal. Stevie, I knew was like, okay, he's probably 6'1", 240, whatever. And then you mean, I was like, Jesus Christ, are you big? Kyle, deceptively in the little boxes, I would think that Kyle is like some 5'8" guy, some little short point guard, and then Kyle is looks like a linebacker. Pete Overzet is also much taller than you would think. You would think he's obviously Davis is, everyone knows how short he is. So I don't know how deceptive that is. And then you have people in the middle, like Cheese and you and Squirrel, guys I think Keith Eister kind of goes in the Kyle category also, or maybe Cardi does also.
Tall?
Right. Roth would go in the middle also. I know, he's a weather guy. He's on TV. I would expect him to be, 6 feet, 6'1", something, around
weather
there.
And height is a correlation.
Right. And then you go down even further. Then you go down and you meet Kirkwood. And Kirkwood, I thought, would be 6 feet tall, and he's more 5'8" or something. Or something like that. It's a little bit shorter.
I don't know what And by the way, I'm not tall. I'm surprised I'm even on the board. I'm not tall.
But you're in the middle. The middle is you are at what I expected you to be. Right.
All right.
That's the middle. Chop, on the other hand, I always thought Chop was much bigger. And I'm not saying Chop is small, but Chop is shorter than I am. And weighs less than I do.
He played linebacker in high school.
Chop
in
seems
Texas
like
football.
He's much more of a, he would be 6 feet plus and 200 plus pounds, and he's not.
Something. All right.
Was this a good? Is there anyone else that you'd?
Cardi's the one that I think is the. I was surprised how tall he was. If somebody was kind of trying to think if there was anybody else that I'm sure there's somebody. DB's I don't know if he's sneaky tall, but he's tall. But
I would put him in the middle somewhere. It's just like Eric Bimefor. He's in the middle somewhere. I don't think he's taller than you think. I thought he would be
Maybe I thought Will would be taller, but I don't know. It's a whole bunch.
Luch was shorter than okay. No. Stevie's right. Yes. Carlucci is a little bit shorter. Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and knock out our stacks here. We didn't like any of the pitching. It's Savali versus Mitch Keller. 7.5 total here. We do have the lineups for Milwaukee and Pittsburgh. Nothing particularly thrilling. It's pretty standard though, right? Not a great ballpark to hit baseballs in either. The slight favorite is the Brewers. Where do we have Milwaukee and Pittsburgh on the board? I feel like one of the, probably amongst the 6 games, one of the more uneventful games. You tell me.
No, I like this game.
Well, you embrace the uneventful.
Right. Well, of course. We have to have some type of tier system as far as from an ownership perspective, because it is a smaller slate. So Coors is going to be chalk city. So anything that's not Coors is going to be lower owned than it should be. And I don't think people are going to, I think people are more likely to play Mitch Keller than play the Brewers. So to me, I'm putting the Brewers on the top, on the Stevie tier. Just from an ownership perspective. Normally they probably wouldn't be up there, but I'm not gonna be putting Coors on the Stevie tier just due to ownership. And the Pirates against Savali is kind of middle of the pack. I'm fine with the middle for the Pirates.
Savali's given up a lot of homers this season at 1.68 per 9. That's the second highest number on the board. A lot of fly balls as well. So I don't mind picking on Savali if you want a homer hunt, if you're not even stacking, but homer hunting is perfectly fine with me. Certainly Reynolds and Cruz probably look like the 2 best options. Kansas City, Washington. Kansas City has all the things to play for. They're doing their best to lock in a playoff spot. I should pull up my current chances to make the playoffs, because that stuff does change with every game. I don't know if I looked at it late last night. But Waka's taking on Patrick Corbin again. Patrick Corbin almost definitely his last start with the Nats. Maybe he retires after this game. I have no clue. And he goes and takes his 72 Chevy or whatever. You say he's got a used pickup truck like Kawhi. I don't know if he's still driving around with that. And good for him. But we shall see. Taking on the Royals. Royals fully motivated to get a W. I think you get the best version of. There's no Isbell in there. The Young's in there for Isbell, but otherwise, basically what you would expect from Kansas City. Where do you have the Royals and the Nats?
I have a flow chart for MLB DFS.
Okay.
Is Patrick Corbin pitching today? Yes and no. If it's no, then you move on. If it's yes, you play the team that's facing him. So, like, I'm putting the Royals in the Stevie tier, the A tier also. They're going to be lower owned than both the Coors teams, but they'll probably be like the third highest owned team. But I think the key to this slate is to play the Cardinals today, but mixed in with not just, the chalkiest Cardinal bats and Michael Wacha and that type of lineup. But I still think you play the Cardinals, but you mix in the Brewers and the Royals. And the Royals at least have something to play for. And it's Patrick Corbin.
I think one of the most popular hitters on the slate, individual hitters, might be Tommy Pham. Just sort of throwing that out there. If you're still grinding cash games, good for you. That's amazing. Honestly, a shout out to you. I'm not, but if you are, Pham is probably one of the first players you're putting in your lineup today. Kansas City currently 83.9% chance to make the playoffs. The Tigers have passed them by at 91.1% because the Twins have sputtered. They're at 23%. That's basically the Mariners still have theoretically some life, 2%. Last time Stevie yelled at me when I said Boston was eliminated a couple days ago. They are officially eliminated. They're now down, they're at like 0.7%. He's like, what do you mean they're eliminated? They're not eliminated. I'm like, well, I mean, they are and they aren't. I got bad news for you if you're waiting for Boston to get a playoff berth this season. It ain't happening. All right, Tampa and Detroit, Reese Olson versus Tyler Alexander. My favorite team, all things considered, on the slate is in this game. And I'm basically telling you which one it is because you know which one it's not, I think. What do you got as far as the Rays?
It's not the Rays against Olson, so I'm assuming it's the Tigers against Tyler Alexander.
It is the Tigers against Alexander. Another team.
Even though it's a revenge game, Dean, it's a revenge game.
Well, I think he gives
Tyler Alexander used to pitch for the Tigers.
Are you thinking of Doyle Alexander or the Tyler Alexander used to pitch for Detroit? Okay, he might have
used to pitch for Detroit.
I'm forgetting. It sounds familiar though. But homers per 9, 2.02 homers per 9. The most fly balls as well. 2.02 homers per 9. That's too many. That's too many homers per 9. Also, the other sneaky thing about Alexander is he's reverse splitsy. And, people love to avoid the left on left stuff. If you fire up the old plate IQ, this season, we can stretch it back to last season. We want to include this season and last season. Last season, we can do that as well. Versus lefties this year and last year, 239 ISO and a 335 WOBA. That's not good. That's not good. And Riley Green is my favorite tournament play. You're kind of overspending a little bit at 5K. I really despise playing the home player, the home 9-hole hitter. But again, this is a 6-game slate. If you want to get sneaky, Parker Meadows is just a player. Nobody's going to play Parker Meadows. Not nobody, but you know what I mean? Less than 5% probably on a tiny, tiny slate. Torkelson is one of my favorite hitters as well. And finally, all the promise in the world for him. He's starting to bang out some homers. Detroit is, all things considered, Detroit's my favorite team on this slate. Kansas City's probably better, air quotes, and their scores too. But I like Detroit. Did I convince you? You're making the official.
I would put Detroit in the second tier. I would put Tampa Bay in the bottom tier. And also, we didn't talk about the Nationals. The Nationals are bad, but the Nationals need to go in the
leverage.
Leverage in this. They have to go in the Kirkwood tier because if Michael Wacha is going to be 40% owned, the Nationals aren't. I mean, I'd rather play a team against a 40% owned pitcher than a team against a 10% owned pitcher if they're both bad teams. So I'm gonna. You're not crazy for playing the Nationals in large field contests.
I'd like to play Abrams, but yeah, you know the story about C.J. Abrams. I assume yes, you're aware of his story.
He was up until 5 a.m. playing roulette at a casino or something.
8 a.m. apparently he was playing he's one of us. He was up until actually not one of you. You probably don't play in the casino. That's boring to you. You have no edge.
Well, I'll be in the poker room, but I won't be at the roulette table.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was roulette. I don't remember what he was doing, but yeah, allegedly he was up till 8 o'clock, and I think there's a day game the next day. But that's how that went down, and they sent him down to the minors. And again, I don't know, is there games even happening in the minors? Essentially, does that mean
No, the minors are done. What I mean, they optioned him to what? To just go and hang out in an empty stadium somewhere?
On vacation. I'm not sure what he's doing, but it was a form of punishment. But there you go. He would certainly make that lineup look better. But I think Cruz is a decent talent. James Wood has got a ton of power, so sure. Joey Gallo, he's going to strike out 9 times out of 10, but that one time he doesn't. Sure, I guess he can bang one out. Yeah, I guess are they at the spring training complex? That's what Casey's saying. Are they still hanging out there? They might be. That's possibly what's going on. Angels, White Sox, 2 terrible teams. Tyler Anderson, Chris Flexen. There are some cheap prices here. Taylor Ward, sure. He's if you're going to bet on Chicago, it's probably Robert and Vaughn. I'm still trying to make Miguel Vargas happen. If I need it as a punt, I'll do it, but it's just been so terrible. Where do we have the Angels and the White Sox?
Well, I'm much more likely to obviously play Chris Flexen than the Angels today. I think the Angels will be a little bit overowned. So I'm going to put the Angels in like the Kirkwood tier. And the White Sox, just because of price. I mean, you're going to, put them in the Dean tier. I mean, I don't really want to play the White Sox today. But it's a 6-game slate.
Don't give me that stench in my tier. I don't want the White Sox hanging out with me.
What? They're cheap, though. It's if you're going to
play, I don't want that rub.
Plus like the expensive Coors bats or whatever, or you can play Bobby Witt, you're going to need some cheap bats. So if you want to
do it differently.
Yeah, I same for me, but I'm saying there's only 6 games. You can't put everyone in they suck tier. You got to put them, I like the Angels as a team better than the White Sox, but as far as I'd rather play the cheap pitcher against the Angels than play Tyler Anderson against the White Sox for $2,500 more.
No lineups just yet for these next 2 games. It's St. Louis and Colorado. Biggest total, of course, in Coors, 10.5. Both teams have a total above 5. The slight favorite here is St. Louis. Where do we have the Cardinals and the Rockies? You do the all things considered. So where do we have it all things considered?
I think they both go in the B tier. I mean, the Rockies will be less owned than the Cardinals, but they'll still be owned, facing Kyle Gibson. And the Cardinals are going to be one of the probably the chalkiest team on the slate. So they get a ding down because of that. But you're probably playing bats from this game. There's not much offense, on the slate, even with pitching being not great either. So yeah, I'm most likely playing some combination of like Kansas City, St. Louis, Milwaukee, because Kansas City is going to be popular also. The bottom half of their order is cheap, right? And Tommy Pham and yet KC. I'm much more likely to play Kansas City as a stack than as one-offs, and the same thing for like St. Louis. So it may be more likely that I just play a Milwaukee stack, or it's much more likely I play a KC stack with Milwaukee one-offs and bat 2-offs, like a secondary, or a Cardinals stack with a Milwaukee secondary, maybe a Tigers one-off or something like that's kind of what I'm looking for in my one lineup today.
I basically never play Hampson. I know he's cheap, but he's going to be on extreme pinch hit alert. Just throwing that out there. Extreme pinch hit alert for Garrett Hampson.
Why do they do that? If they're going to pinch hit him after like 1 at bat or 2 at why even bother starting at that point? Why is he even playing baseball?
Because every edge you can get. I mean, you want to get the platoon as many times as possible. And Kansas City's actually trying to win games, so every at bat matters. You saw it in Minnesota the other day. You sort of knew that was going to happen especially when they start against a lefty. You knew like the Wallners and the Larnacks aren't going to start, but they're going to come in, and you have an edge every single at bat. It's actually smart, but it's annoying for us, for our purposes. But if you
that's all I care about is for our purposes. Mean you're telling me they're not just playing for DFS contests?
They're not doing it just for our enjoyment. Yeah,
I thought they were just going out just to provide statistics for a DFS contest.
No, it's part of the deal because, a certain percentage of their audience is only watching and supporting the product. It's kind of a, don't ask, don't tell.
Thursday night football's tonight. It's Giants Cowboys.
Yeah. It's right? action. You know what action
is. Going out to play just so they could fulfill my prop bet.
It's money. It's money.
Right. That's it. Other than that, I don't really care who wins. I don't even know why they should care who wins. Just as long as my props go over or under, that's all that matters. That's all shit.
Texas taking on Oakland. Kumar Rocker, JT Ginn. Very last baseball game, professional. Some would argue the last professional game played in Oakland was several years ago. But yeah, very last professional game in the Coliseum. Going to be a sellout crowd. They're going to be chanting "Sell the team." They're going to be stealing the chairs. It's going to be a fabulous. I was watching the game last night. They had a pretty good crowd, and it's going to be raucous. It's going to be raucous. Build your narratives now. Ginn versus Texas. Again, no lineups just yet. Terrible ballpark, theoretically, to hit baseballs. Rocker, one of the biggest, prospects in all of baseball. It is weird how many walks he's had so far on a small sample, but I assume he will correct that. Pitch count, maybe 75. Why would you push him, right? Where do we have Texas and Oakland?
I think they're in the right spots. Texas in the third tier, A's in the fourth tier. I'm not really interested in playing either team, but maybe I'm only playing one lineup. Maybe for good old time's sake, I just play an A's lineup, and then I try to steal the lineup from DraftKings. I try to grab it out of my app. Save the screenshot, right? Just like the chairs or whatever. Where was I? I'm not sure. I mean, do you think it? But obviously not factored into projections. The fact that it's the last home game for the A's.
How do you quantify that? Yeah.
Do you think most of these A's players even care?
No, probably not. There's, again, that clip is spectacular. Producer Steve on top of things. I mean, I think like Ricky Henderson cares to some degree. I think some of the you mentioned Dave Stewart. Some of the old school guys probably care a little bit more. Maybe Jambi. I don't know. The fans care the most.
I'm talking about the current lineup though.
They probably can't wait to get out of there. Although they're going to Sacramento. I can't wait to go to Sacramento. Oh, that stinks too. But like maybe in a couple of years, 3-4 years, who knows? Nothing's official, but Vegas seems most likely destination. Theoretically, there's still a chance they stay in Oakland and just MLB steps in and forces Fisher to sell a team. Like that's what they should do. At least they should force them to sell a team and figure things out. But I don't make these calls. They're not asking me. Manfred is not. I'm not in his phone, unfortunately. But I mean, they did break ground, right, on the Vegas area where it would be. I think they took down one of the. But
CJ Abrams is actually down there helping him.
That's what he was doing 8:00 in the morning. He wasn't
he went to Vegas, right?
He
wants to be traded to the A's, so because they're going to be going to Vegas, he could be at the roulette wheel till at 24/7. Doesn't matter.
Hey man. All right, we do have crunch time coming in. We have Stevie coming in as well as Dave Potts and Kevin Roth to talk this fabulous 6-game slate. Do you have a final thought before we blend it? I was going to ask you for a homer, but you're just going to go ahead and go to the bat. No, this guy's most likely to homer. Thanks, appreciate that. Who are you going to give me? You're going to give me probably Goldie or something like that. Somebody in the same. You'll give me Bobby Witt. That's probably what you'll give me.
It should. We need to see who's going to be the last home run at the Oakland A's Coliseum.
It's going to be a walk-off. In the expert survey, that was my prediction.
That was your prediction. A walk-off home run for the A's in the last game at their stadium. I don't think that's going to happen, but it would be nice. It would be a nice little story.
I had to be more specific. I said a walk-off home run. It'll be Brent Rooker, and it'll be his second of the game. Now, if that happens, come on.
Well, why? There's got to be some SGP on FanDuel that has that or something. But it only pays 3.5 to 1. That whole scenario, right? The hold on.
And if he hits one early, they'll pay me 5% as a buyout, as a cash out option.
Right, as a cash out. Right, of course.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and bring in crunch time right now. I'm curious, is Dave Cheeseisgood? Are you nostalgic at all for Oakland? Do you care about this? I imagine you watched a lot of athletics over the years, and they've got some fun teams. Do you care about this, or do you romanticize the big?
No, because the old times are so long gone anyway. Like the 1980s A's or whatever, that I remember watching, that's not been a thing. Like they've been gone since before the team leave. I don't know. This doesn't change anything for me.
The Moneyball A's?
Long before that. I'm talking like Ricky Henderson A's.
Yeah, I was trying. What do you think of first when you think of the A's? You think of McGuire and Canseco, or do you think of Boulder and Giambi and Zito and those guys?
Dave thinks of Catfish Hunter.
Oh, come on.
Honestly, it's Ricky Henderson first, and then the Molio era, and then Brent Rooker.
Who do you think of, Kevin?
Brad Pitt.
You think of the Oakland A's?
Yeah, I think of Brad Pitt. Yeah.
There you go. That's a good answer. And Jonah Hill. By the way, I meant to ask you, and Blunder's probably a good person to have on this. You have time, by the way, just a heads up, because there's not these guys don't want to say anything about pitching.
Are we going to talk about the doc?
I wanted to ask. Yeah, you teased it last night, and I'm sure Blender has watched it.
Yeah.
The McMahon, the Blender. You're a wrestling guy, right?
Yeah, of
Blender?
course. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I think it's 6 hours. I was listening to Bill Simmons talk about it.
I know
if Bill
Mr.
Simmons
McMahon, the documentary series on Netflix came out.
I
Yeah.
hear
What
it's
do you-
really bonkers.
Talk to me,
and
Blender.
interesting. And have you watched it?
I'm gonna watch it, but I mean, from all the reviews that I see, it's not gonna be all that interesting for me. But I mean, it's something to watch. As far as like information that I didn't know, like basically, I'm watching 6 hours of all stuff that I already know and just people's awful comments on the matter. But like no one admits anything. No one, it's just like a lot of older wrestlers just come across because they made this documentary before the allegations came out against sex trafficking stuff and all that stuff.
In the middle, it happened in the middle of production.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, a lot of the like, oh, he was like a father to me, or oh, it's like the greatest thing since like all these older wrestlers look like, they don't come across very well. And even some of them, even currently, after the allegations came out, are kind of like wishy-washy. John Cena is still like, well, I mean, you still love people that do bad things, and it's like, yeah, that's probably not a good thing to say. So, yeah, so it probably it'd be an interesting watch for people that don't watch wrestling regularly or know. The
You're a
story.
1%er, like all the inside stuff. Yeah. Kevin, you have a takeaway so far? You probably
So I just watched the first episode, and the one takeaway I had is that he comes across as so unlikable and disingenuous just in the sit-down interview, where generally you start to feel for that person. Just everything that he said felt scripted and fake. And I don't know if that's because hindsight, I know that he's not a good dude, or if that's just really what it is. But I just had no connection to him whatsoever so far. But it's interesting. I'm one episode.
You're gonna keep watching.
Oh, for sure, without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Stevie. I'm sure you have a lot to say on this. I don't know if we have time to get to it, but by all means, Stevie.
It's on my list to watch. I mean,
okay, yeah.
It's on my list.
You'll probably get more from it than like Blender would, because a lot of it's new to you. Much like
I watched wrestling when I was growing up, like WCW, Goldberg, Rock, Stone Cold days, but nothing now. But
Same.
I mean, wrestling just doesn't do it for me anymore. I'm glad that it's still around though, because I think it's entertaining for some people, like Blender. So yeah.
He's glad that Blender's entertained.
No, I just meant like I know Blender's like a huge wrestling guy. I mean, there's a lot of people that really like it. I have a bunch of friends that every time it's in Orlando, they go. It's not something that I'm into anymore. I really liked the Rock and Stone Cold days. I thought it was fun. It's all fake and it was entertaining. It was fun.
What? was that in the documentary?
Yeah, they let it out, Dean.
Finally, right?
It's predetermined and scripted, right?
All right, Blender. We got anything else before we yield? I think we got.
I'm surprised no comments on the tiers board on who they think is deceptively too taller or shorter in person.
I didn't see the tier today.
The tier, you're in the top of the tiers list. I knew you were a big guy, Stevie, but the first time we met, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you're humongous.
Oh yeah, I mean, me and Beer, I think, are the two tallest people, right, at RotoGrinders. So,
but Beer, I expected
tall
to be.
too,
I could tell that he was. So this is the list of deceptively tall to deceptively short.
Chop.
Well, so earlier in the week, Kevin already took shots at Chop, so he's not saying anything else about Chop.
Yeah, I'm keeping my mouth shut. I honestly did not.
But it's not a bad thing. It's just that I always thought Chop was like maybe 6 feet, whatever. He's not short, but I thought he would be bigger. Say for Kirkwood, right? And then someone like Kyle I thought would be like 5'7", and Kyle is like 6'2", and.
Isn't Dean like the shortest person at RotoGrinders? Like, why is he in the middle of this list?
Shortest,
I feel like
I was surprised.
He's what you would expect him to be.
I don't expect Dean to be 6'5". I expected him to be about what he is.
I understand the list a little bit more now. The person that threw me off, like the first time I met them, and I've met almost everybody here, Grant. The first time I met him was at a live final, and he was way taller and actually lived up to the hype on his the fireball. So
Yeah, his beer chugging skills.
He's sneaky tall, and exactly there is no facade behind his personality. He is as Grant as he comes across.
If you like him on air, you'll like him in person. It's the same person. By the way, no Brenton Doyle for the Rockies. Jake Cave is getting it, and is he still rocking the gray beard? Good for him. Jake Cave is in the lineup. No Brenton Doyle. The one I thought that should have been on the board for sneaky tall was Cardi. Cardi, I think, is sneaky tall. But you can't list everybody. Myself, Blender, we got to step aside and get out of here. Boys are going to go ahead and knock out this 6-gamer. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff, as always. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. It is crunch time. You know the drill. To the sharpest minds in the biz. Dave Potts, Stevie in the house as well. Guys, I have literally, I have the worst story. It's a great story, but it is the worst story ever. And if we've got some time to kill.
Oh, we have so much time.
Yeah, all right, so it is wrestling related. This is truly a terrible, terrible story. It's one of those things I shouldn't even say, but I'm gonna because it's so good. So my brother and his friend, they were all excited for WrestleMania. This was, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago. It was in Miami, and they dressed up as the characters. One of them had like a chainmail thing on, and I don't even know what characters they were being. But the shtick was they would bark. That it was like, oh, they would get in people's face and bark, right? So they get to the stadium in Miami, and there's a bunch of people there, and they start getting in people's face. And like the mood is kind of not the mood they were expecting. It's not like a party mood. It's a little more somber, but they're in everybody's face, and they're like, oh, my freaks and my peaks. And they're yelling and talking trash and doing all this just up and down all the way to the stadium. And they get to the stadium and they're like, all right, we're here for WrestleMania. And I'm like, WrestleMania is at sunrise. This is actually an event. It is a Trayvon Martin memorial.
Oh, no.
They had spent the last 30 minutes getting everyone's
terrible.
And they were in costume, and they were yelling at people for like 30 minutes, having no idea and just wondering why the vibe was off the whole time. They were at the wrong stadium. They had to get and then go to actual WrestleMania. It's literally, like I said, the worst story and also the best story of all time. Apparently, everybody was really nice. Nobody got super pissed off that there were people barking in their faces. So that went well. That's my story. That's my wrestling story. Hey, welcome to it, ladies and gents. You got Dave Potts in the house. Cheese, how are you?
Hey, I'm fine. I'm gonna totally let Stevie talk about the baseball, and then if anyone has any lunch questions after, we can do that. This slate is nonsense. But that's why Stevie's here.
Is that why you're here, Stevie? Or are you going to talk lunch as well?
Dude, I'm hungry. I had some good cheesy eggs this morning. We're not getting like any of the hurricane stuff, so I'm just the kids are out of school. They called school for today, and they've been running around. And hopefully your family's good. I know you have some family in the Tampa area. It looks like the next few hours for Tampa is going to be kind of bad. So I've been playing Kevin Roth for the last 5 or 6 hours because I like to follow these hurricanes, and this one is kind of gnarly. It's going to be pretty bad when it hits Tallahassee.
Yeah, my entire game plan today is just watch Weather Channel and text friends and family, make sure they're okay. Yeah. But yeah, going to be a busy day. Glad that you and your family, Stevie, are safe. How do you feel about this slate?
It's kind of ugly. There are a couple games on this slate where they matter, so I'll probably stick to playing like those teams and kind of call it a day. And fade Coors, I think, is my initial thought process. I think Coors is like one of the best situations you're going to have on the slate, but I mean, it's going to be very, very popular. So fade Coors, go overweight on the Tigers, I think is my plan. Tigers and Royals. So we'll talk about it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let's dive into it weather-wise. Nothing to really talk about. Of course, Atlanta already got canceled yesterday, and the rest of the games all look good. Low to no chance of any issues. So I don't think there's anything that you need to work around or think about. You just dive into the slate, and with that, we'll kind of lead it off with Cheese. You can talk about these pitchers.
Can I really, please?
I mean, you don't have
So
to, but we should.
probably it certainly could be the worst pitching slate of the year.
No, come on.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Wacha is the chalk ace. Michael Wacha. It's really, really, truly bad. You're not chasing ceiling. You are just trying to not get annihilated and take a negative 15 at pitcher. Like, I think you get 5 to 10 points, you're fine. One of these guys will get 20 points because that's the way it works. And most likely it's Wacha. I think Wacha is going to be even more popular than what we're showing. I think he'll be like 60% owned.
He's not even cheap though. He's $9K.
Yeah. But there aren't, like, when you start looking at the bats, other than Bobby Witt, there's nothing to spend on the slate, even if you want to.
I gotcha.
Like, you can max out at every position and you're barely even getting there. So salary doesn't really matter. But also as far as SP2, like the guys who are like 6 to 7K are as good as the other nonsense that's 8K. I think Kumar Rocker is the other guy who's most likely to not kill you, like, because he should get enough strikeouts in his 4 innings that even if he's still walking people, like, he probably gets you that 12 to 15 points, and that's all you need.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, first of all, if you're playing cash games on this slate, good for you, I guess. I would be fine with Rocker. Just overpaying for 70 pitches and knowing that he'll get some strikeouts and just go walk a Rocker. With the cheaper stuff, I like JT Ginn the best. I don't like anyone, but I think he's actually a decent-ish pitcher. And I would rather play him than like Kyle Gibson and Coors, or like Chris Flexen, who's worse in a good matchup. I am playing Aaron Savali. Like, I kind of think, unless he's just pitching out of his mind, I think he only gets 4 or 5 innings. But I don't care. I don't really think anyone really gets more than 4 or 5 innings today, other than Michael Wacha, who maybe gets 5 at 0.2. So those guys like Wacha, Rocker, Savali, and kind of sort of JT Ginn are the guys I think are least likely to give you like negative 20.
Yikes. Okay. That is not exactly a ringing endorsement, but Stevie, is there guys that you like, or are you also just looking to not get blown up here at pitcher?
I think Wacha has the longest leash if he's pitching well. Royals are 2 games up on Minnesota and Seattle. They need to win this game. They have a big weekend series coming up. If they can finish off this with a win against Washington, they're in a good spot to make the playoffs. So I think if Wacha's pitching well, they'll let him go. I think if he's struggling, they're going to yank him early. I mean, it's that time of the year where, you're trying to make the playoffs. So I assume that they let him try to go 90 to 100 pitches. He's against Washington. Their lineup is not great. So I like Wacha. I don't love him. I don't love anything on this slate. I agree with Cheese. Rocker probably only going to get 70 pitches, but you're going to get some strikeouts in that lineup against Oakland. So I don't hate that. I don't mind Ginn. Ginn coming into last year was a pretty big prospect for Oakland. He has a live fastball, good slider. Control can be hit or miss. So I think Ginn is someone where, this is your time of the year where you're kind of pitching to have a spot on the roster for next year. So if he can come out and pitch, 80 to 85 quality pitches against Texas, that's a good spot for him. So don't hate him. The other name like that I'll probably take some shots on is Tyler Anderson. It makes me want to throw up in my mouth. But I'm drinking matcha, so if I do throw up in my mouth, I can drink some matcha and it cleanses it. And 2, the White Sox are just awful. They are by far the worst offense that I've seen in the last 10 years. I mean, it's bad. I kind of warm up the arm a little bit thinking about like pitching against White Sox. I think I could succeed. So I'll play Anderson. He's been awful recently, but maybe end the season on a good note here. Go out and get me 15. Like if he gets me 15, I'm ecstatic today. If I can get 30 combined out of my pitching, I'm ecstatic today. So yeah, I mean, right now in my main lineup, I'm looking at Waka and Anderson as my combo.
Okay. And same feeling as Cheese is there's no need to try to actively save salary because we don't really need it. You don't need any weird random punts that suck down there.
There's so many cheap bats already on lineups, and like core isn't overly expensive. And like I mentioned, I'm probably going to go underweight on cores. So yeah, I mean, you can play the pitchers you like. So if you do like 2 pitchers on this slate, just play them and build around them. But we use the word like very very lightly today. It's an awful pitching slate for a 6-game slate. Like there's not just like one guy that you're like, I got to play him. I got to lock him in because he's going to get 30, because I just don't think there is a guy like that today.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Let's flip it. Talk about some of the bats and some of the stacks. And Stevie, you can lead us off as you sip your matcha.
Oh, it's good, man. I put a little honey in it today. Oh, it's on point today.
Oh, punch of sweetness. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as far as bats, I really like Kansas City. Patrick Corbin, we've been attacking him for years. Gives up a lot of home runs. And again, going back to the whole Waka thing, well, the bats too, right? Kansas City's 2 games up. They're trying to make the playoffs. This is a huge game for them. So absolutely love Kansas City. I think like Witt would be the first person before pitching in my lineup today. Like he's just the guy you're playing. Like you're playing him. Obviously like Salvador Perez a lot too. So I like Kansas City. I like Detroit. I mean, I've become a Detroit Tigers fan over the last couple weeks and just kind of rooting for them. I like the team. They're scrappy and they're putting it together. They have some good pitchers. So I'm rooting for the Tigers since the Red Sox suck. So yeah, I mean, Kansas City, Detroit, and Coors, I think is kind of where I'm at. And again, I think the ownership on Coors is going to be pretty high. Kyle Gibson, kind of a below average strikeout pitcher, and then Kyle Freeland is just awful, 17% Ks. So you definitely want to attack the St. Louis bats against Freeland. And I think when we get to the position breakdown is a good pivot off of Bobby Witt.
Okay. Cheese, your thoughts in the stack department?
Pretty much the same. Like kind of very obviously Coors Field, but I don't feel like you have to stack those teams. I'm doing a lot of what I mentioned in the musings, which is if I'm playing the chalk teams, Cardinals, Rockies, Royals, not full stack them, just do 3-3-2s or a couple, do 2 bats from each of those teams with some other stuff. Like I don't see much way to get super different with 5 Cardinals, but you can get different with 2 Cardinals and 2 Rockies and 3 Royals and some other random thing.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go around the horn. Start me off with some catcher talk, Cheese.
Catcher's actually pretty good, like we've seen a lot. Sal Perez is probably my second favorite player on the slate. I do like Contreras. We're still waiting on a St. Louis lineup. We should get that momentarily, assuming Herrera's in there. I like him also as a spend up. I made sure to go out of my way to play some of the secondary catchers, meaning Fermin in a Royal stack or Paez in a St. Louis stack. Again, we don't know that both catchers are playing for the Cardinals, but if they do, and I also like doing some Fermin at catcher and Perez at first, just gets you a little different with the good stack. And then Ohapi and Hunter Goodman are in my pool at some point as well.
Okay, Stevie, your thoughts there, catcher?
Sorry, replying to chat. They didn't know I was a matcha guy. I'm a matcha guy. Like, come on.
I wouldn't have guessed it either. Wouldn't have guessed matcha guy.
Love Perez, obviously, against Corbin. Salvador Perez, one of the top hitters on the slate for me overall. So gonna try to fit him in as much as possible. Like Contreras. I think catcher is a position you pay up for. Usually I am, all about punting catcher, but I think this slate's too good to punt catcher. I think if you're gonna punt anybody, it's probably Freddie Fermin against Corbin as well, batting 5th for the Royals today at 3K. But yeah, I mean, Bangaliers, Perez, Contreras, Herrera, assuming he catches. And then don't forget about Ohapi if you're MMEing today. He has some power, and Chris Flexen is pitching for the White Sox today. So, yeah.
Okay, first base.
Yeah, first base is interesting today. Obviously, you could play Salvador Perez at first base too if you really wanted to. You got Goldschmidt against Freeland, Toglia against Gibson in those really good hitting conditions and spots. I like Torkelson. Again, I'm going to mention a lot of Detroit bats. I like the Tigers today, so I'm going to be playing them against Alexander and Tampa's bullpen. So if you're going down, Andrew Vaughn looks very interesting at 3.1K against Anderson, but nothing like too great. I think like people will play Gurriel as like a cheap punt at first base at 2.7K, hitting 4th today for Kansas City.
Cheese, your thoughts at first?
Yeah, on a lot of slates, I think Gurriel and Vaughn would be really popular. But again, you really don't need that salary. It's pretty easy to get up to at least Torkelson, who I think is the best play for the salary at the position. I'm under on Goldschmidt. I've got just a couple in stacks. I would rather play Toglia in that Coors Field game. That's really it. But Torkelson is my favorite.
Okay, I want to get your thoughts on second. First, though, Matt says, Roth, please talk about the weather in Washington. The humidity is high. The dew point is high. Winds are blowing out. It's sunny. It's great for bats. Is it? I think it's fine for bats. The temperature's in the 70s. The winds are at 5 miles per hour, so that's negligible. I pulled up Weather Edge, and in 127 similar weather games, there has been a 2.7% increase in home runs. So you may get 2% more than what you were expecting out of there. But really, I just think the weather there is fine. I don't see it as anything special. Okay, Cheese, your thoughts at second.
Stevie, your thoughts at second. Okay, so really, I guess Marcus Semien and Bryce Terang, kind of. Like Andy Ibanez can be worth it in 2 at bats. I do think he comes out of the game, but because second base is pretty bad, I don't think it matters if he comes out of the game. But I would rather play Thomas Sagisi if you're trying to go cheap, assuming he's in the lineup, which he should be. And again, like Donovan is fine if he's in the lineup, but I don't really love him outside of stacks. I would rather just play Marcus Semien or save money.
Okay, Stevie.
Yeah, I mean, second base for me is basically who's ever in my stack. I don't mind Terang if you want to get different. Keller's been hit or miss. Terang is someone that can steal bases, so I don't necessarily hate him, but I just don't know how much Milwaukee's really going to be pushing right now. They've clinched the division. They can't really do much. So like kind of off Milwaukee, I think, just in general over the next 3 days. Ibanez, hitting he's hitting leadoff for the Tigers, so I don't necessarily hate him. And then Sosa is good against lefties. Like second base is just going to be kind of who's in my stacks or what kind of money do I have left, because I mean there's plenty of cheap second basemen or pay ups. So I don't know if second base would be a make or break position today.
Fair enough. How about third?
Yeah, I mean, I think you try to get Ryan McMahon against Gibson and Coors seems like the spot, or Nolan Arenado going up against Freeland and Coors. I think that's the 2 spend ups. I absolutely love Veerling today. Again, I like Detroit a lot, so I like the idea of going down for Veerling and playing him instead of paying up for one of these 2 third basemen. But yeah, like Chi said, if you're playing cash, awesome. Play one of those 2 guys in Coors, or those are the 2 guys you want to target if you're spending up.
Cheese, your thoughts third?
McMahon over Arenado is spending up, but I agree. Like this is not you don't have to go out of your way to get up there. I also like Veerling and I like Eric Wagamon. That's it. That's what I like.
Shortstop.
So basically, this is probably the best position on the board, as it has been a lot this year. You really just want a guy with a W and an I and then 2 matching letters after. It doesn't really matter what the letters are as long as they match afterwards.
Wit or win?
Yeah.
Yep.
Which better be the chalkiest player on the slate. But unless he's like 80% owned, I would say he's under owned. But I also really like Tovar, Adames, and Neto. It's just a loaded position. So I went out of my way to make sure I played a little bit of those other three guys, Tovar, Neto, Adames. But for the most part, like, there's no need to overthink it. Like, just play Bobby Witt. And if you can't quite get there, just play Mason Wynn.
Okay. Stevie? Witt or Wynn?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to win today, I would play one of those two guys. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, Bobby Witt's the top hitter in the slate. Like I said, he's the first guy in for me. If I was doing, I'm not MMEing today, but if I was, I'd probably play like 75% of him and then mix in a little bit of those other four guys, because I think that shortstop is where you're going to spend money. I don't think you want to punt shortstop today. I think there's too much upside with those top five guys.
Okay, then let's take it to the outfield. Maybe we'll save a few bucks over there, Stevie.
Yeah, I mean, outfield's interesting. You got Tommy Pham hitting leadoff at 3.7. You got Jordan Walker, who should be in the lineup today, at 3.6. So, like, those are your two guys under 4K that I like. Hunter Renfroe against the lefty is really cheap. He's hitting 6 today. So I worry a little bit about pinch hit risk because, again, like, Kansas City is playing for something. So does Renfroe get pinch hit for is something you a little concerned about. The problem is, like, I don't necessarily want to pay up for really any of these guys at the top. I do like Riley Green in my Detroit stacks because it's lefty, but I don't expect Alexander to go deep in the game. So I don't mind going lefty there. But yeah, I mean, there's not, outside of like playing some of these Coors hitters, like there's nothing really that stands out to me as far as paying up for. Roker is always someone you could pay up for. He has plenty of upside. Blackman in Coors, sure. But yeah, I mean, overall, Detroit, Kansas City, and Coors.
Fair enough. Cheese, your thoughts there in the outfield?
Yeah, there's not a lot of need to spend up. I mean, I want a little bit of Brent Rooker. I don't mind like a Brian Reynolds here or there. And I also like Riley Green. But comparatively, like the mid-tier is just as good. I think Pham, Renfroe, and Walker is the chalk. And then you got Taylor Ward and Lewis Robert being pretty good plays there in the mid-tier as well. I would much rather just play mid-tier bats and not have to worry about punting. Because you don't need the expensive guys. They're fine, but fine is all they are.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, start thinking about some home run calls. I think we've only got 5 minutes until lock. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that. We're around there. Hey, make sure you're signing up for RotoGrinders Premium. And if you're like, ooh, I don't know, sounds a little heavy on my stomach. Well, maybe you want RG Combo Lite. You can take your game to the next level without breaking the bank. Check out Combo Lite. It is a powerful product. You get access to all the tools you need to dominate your leagues. You get the sims, you get the stat databases, you get expert advice all in one place. And the best part is it is designed for both casual players like myself or serious competitors like Stevie and Cheese. Whether you're playing for fun or chasing, trying to win $100,000, which I think a lot of people are, Combo Lite has you covered. Check out the link in the description for more info. Cheese, let's give him some home run calls. You can't say wit. That's the only rule. You can't say wit.
Yeah, that's too sneaky. You gotta.
That's too sneaky. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta be a little more obvious.
Yeah.
All right, but we can say Spencer Torkelson and Taylor Ward and random cheap Tyler Soderstrom.
Okay, very good. Stevie, you got a few names?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Riley Green, lefty. Tyler Alexander is more of a fly ball guy. Riley Green's more of a ground ball guy. Love ground ball hitters against fly ball pitchers. Generates more line drives. We've been talking about this for years. So I like Riley Green to go yard. I also had Torkelson as a home run. So I'm with Cheese on that one. And then Tommy Pham hitting leadoff there against good old Patrick Corbin. Got to take at least one home run, and you kind of took away the best one with Witt. So I'll go Tommy Pham. He's had plenty of power against left-handed pitching this year.
Very good, guys. Let's open it up to some QQs. If you have any questions, it can be about baseball. It can be about Thursday Night Football, and it can be about our lunch plans, or it can be about matcha. We'll open it up to some matcha questions as well. Let's start with thoughts on Mitchell, Stevie. Thoughts on Mitchell from Milwaukee.
I mean, hitting fourth, Mitch Keller, when he has struggled this year, has been against lefties. So I mean, I don't necessarily hate Mitchell. I'm a Mitchell fan. I think that he is someone you can definitely take some shots on.
Okay, very good. Cheese, we'll go to Luke Cage's question. It is a little bit elaborate, but I'll read it to you. Please pick your 2 favorite outfielders for large field tournaments. Note, I already have Witt and Perez already. The 2 being 2 of these. Renfroe, Garcia, Pham, Langford.
So it's very obviously Renfroe and Pham to pair with Witt and Perez, and then you have a chalky lineup. But I think it's a good chalk. So if you do that, make sure the surrounding pieces are maybe a little off the board.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Stevie, we're going to test your memory. MGS says, hey, what were your 3 home runs again? I heard Pham and I missed the others.
Torkelson and Green were the other 2.
Very good. Did you both go Torkelson?
Double
we
twerk,
did.
Yeah.
I
Double
just
twerk.
bet his home run because
Double twerk on him. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to Deborah. Deborah says, Cheese, Savali or Rocker?
So I have about the same amount of each. I would slightly lean Rocker. Even in the very limited pitch count, he should be fine. Savali could theoretically be one of the guys who gets dismantled. I don't think it's likely, but it's conceivable.
If Rocker's pitching well, can he get extended? Or they're like, look,
Nope.
we have something to be excited about? No,
he
not going to
cannot.
happen. Okay, that's a bummer. Hey, guess what? We've answered all the questions. We've done all the things. We are moments until a lock, roughly a minute or so away.
No Arenado in the Cardinals lineup.
No Arenado with the Cards lineup. Geez, what does that mean?
It changes nothing except, sadly, people won't be playing. I was pretty much off of him and Goldie anyway. I don't know if other things are weird about the lineup. I don't see it yet, but Arenado being out doesn't change anything for me.
Dean says, what is a sharp line to set for the over-under on the number of adult beverages Roth consumes while watching tonight's Thursday Night Football between the Dallas Cowboys and my New York Giants?
You're a Giants fan?
I am a Giants fan, yeah.
Oh, dude, Malik Neighbors is... Oh,
he looks good.
He's a beast.
Yeah, I was kind of forced into being a Giants fan. I was just raised, and they're like, here's a Giants jersey. Do this. The answer, by the way, is 0. I only drink on Sundays and Mondays. So if it's Thursday Night Football, I'm not drinking. So sadly, the answer is 0. Though if it was a Monday, then the answer would be 9.5 would be the proper over-under there.
Is that
hey, guess what?
In general, you only drink on Sundays and Mondays, or you only drink watching footballs on Sundays?
No. In general, yeah, I only drink 2 days a week, and it's Sunday and Monday. Those are my drinks.
I can't tell you the last time I had a drink, just in general.
That's
it's been
incredible.
I know it's been a long time.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. Good stuff. Dean says I did not have that info. Smash the under. Yeah, the books are going to pull that one for sure. Hey, guess what? We did all the things. I think it's time to clear on out of here. So for Stevie, for Cheese, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, as we appreciate you, we love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.